Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. First of all, I'm delighted to speak in this debate. I'd like to thank Sarah Boyack for securing it, as Sarah Boyack just touched upon. Sarah, Jeremy Balfour and I, we were in Isle of Man last week for the regional conference, but also we are the executive members of the Scottish Parliamentary branch. So, all three of the Scottish members actively participated, and I'm sure that colleagues will agree that the opportunity to actually meet, engage and learn from one another across the region is an excellent way for us to both evaluate our strengths and weaknesses in comparison to other parliaments and assemblies. And it's clear that there is no one-size-fits-all, and some of the activities that happen in our parliament may not be suitable elsewhere. And notwithstanding that, there are parts of scrutiny that we undertake that certainly can help others to consider their actions in their parliaments and assemblies. And one of my contributions at the regional conference last week centred on what work has the highest impact and why. And I discussed the recent inquiry by the Delegated Powers and Law Reform Committee into the use of the maid affirmative procedure during the COVID pandemic. And it's fair to say that not every parliamentarian, sadly, gets excited when delegated powers are discussed. But our committee inquiry certainly highlighted the importance of the procedure and its use over the last 2 years. I spoke to various delegates certainly about the presentation afterwards, and also one of the Tynwald members certainly was genuinely very interested in the procedure, and they certainly will be examining our report. Irrespective of our political leanings or none, as is the case in many Commonwealth parliaments and assemblies, as many of the elected members are independent, as Sarah Boyack touched upon, effective scrutiny and continual appraisal of procedures is absolutely important. And as the motion indicates, many of the meetings over the last 12 months have taken place virtually. In fact, that's been the case for the last 2 years. And as a member of the CPA International Executive Committee, every member of the committee certainly has had some time slots that either involved really early starts in the morning or later evenings in order to continue to meet. The work still happened, but clearly in a very different way. At one of the Exec Committee meetings a few years ago, there was a proposal to actually cease the £10,000 expenditure on developing the Parliamentarian with Disabilities Network, which I argued against. Our then branch had a unanimous decision to keep the network and the investment, which certainly was hugely important. And certainly, if memory serves me correctly, Presiding Officer, you were actually on the branch executive at that time and took part in that discussion. So when I took the fight to the exec meeting, and I had no problems about doing so in any way, shape or form, because I chaired the cross-party group on visual impairment, and at that time I was the deputy convener of the cross-party group on disability, which Jeremy Balfour is the chair of. The network was thankfully continued, but certainly it is going from strength to strength, certainly over that period of time, but there's still a lot of work to be undertaken. Ultimately, Presiding Officer, every parliament and assembly in our region and across the Commonwealth should have a focus on improving outcomes for every citizen and also to become more representative of their populations. Our parliament has made progress, but we still have got work to do, and we can never take anything for granted. The work of both the Commonwealth Women Parliamentarians and the Commonwealth Parliamentarians with Disabilities Networks are crucial in the delivery of making positive changes across the Commonwealth, and I'm delighted to support them. The theme for this year's Commonwealth Day was delivering a common future, and the motion explains its aims. I've always had an international outlook in life, and I've studied in 3 European nations. Thus, the concept of engaging and working with others is something that's natural for me. Undertaking this in the Commonwealth is absolutely no different. And the more people can engage, the better we can understand each other and also our cultural differences. And being a member of the Commonwealth certainly helps in this regard. And crucially, however, working in shared goals is one way that certainly we can bring people and parliaments together. The key shared goal now is clearly tackling climate change. Our actions have an impact upon others, and we do play a leading role in this regard. However, once again, we cannot rest on our laurels, and we must always strive to deliver more. So, Presiding Officer, in conclusion, the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association is a force for good. It consists of over 17,000 parliamentarians, and the more MSPs who engage in it, the better. It certainly will help them understand our Parliament's role and also what we can bring to the Commonwealth. Thank you.